good, everybody? So today we have this lovely video here by Asaurusness. We've covered a bunch of their videos before. I quite personally really like the takes Asaurusness makes. I'm a fan personally, so I know exactly what you think, even though I haven't heard a word you've said. I feel this is a bit of a video on gacha tribalism that I feel comes at a very, very good time right now. This is the perfect time to kind of have the discussion as we've seen all the stuff that's going on with gacha drama in the community and the state of everything at the moment. So how about we hop right in and see what is going on with this video. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already and gain 3 inches on your PP. All right, let's get into the video.
With Notcry bringing Genshin back and WuWa making waves, it's time to talk about tribalism. The gacha space is forever filled with rage and divisive takes, with people picking sides and
just to make it very clear, before I get too into this, I think anyone who's watched content on my channel, you guys right now, who have been keeping up with all my content, know that I'm actually quite interested in Notcry. It actually has me kind of excited, and I've been saying that ever since they released the first live stream. So I'm willing to give stuff a chance. So this is gonna be a very interesting conversation about tribalism and how people are gonna react to that and react to this shift. So let's see how it it really pans out.
Refusing to engage with one another. If my experience is anything to go by, it's very easy to get caught in the crossfire, and many people will take a simple misunderstanding and extrapolate from there until they think they know everything about your perspective. A lot of this is the fault of content creators, or if not fault, at least responsibility. But unfortunately, the incentives created by the platforms we use and basic human nature makes this whole mess almost inevitable. Fortunately, while the people who revel in all of that are loud, they are a minority. And while it's a little annoying to have to deal with, I do find it fascinating. But what is tribalism anyway? People
We love it, apparently. Yeah, apparently we thrive on tribalism. We thrive on... I get people all the time saying to me, oh my god, Cap, you gotta be part of the tribalism group. You gotta be part of... I think I definitely am complicit into tribalism. I'm gonna be so honest. I think I would be dishonest if I said otherwise. So I'm gonna, put my hands up. And it's something that I've often thought to myself of how much or involved do I want to get involved in this? At what point does critique become tribalism? Where do I draw the line between like creator tribalism and game tribalism? It's a very hard thing to balance, and something I've become way more conscious of, as you could probably tell by the kind of content on my channel.
Invest in the things they care about, be it sports teams, political perspectives, or things like gacha games. Once someone aligns themselves with a specific game or character or creator, they immerse themselves in a niche where all of those around them feel the same about those things. They feel a sense of community, which makes them feel less alone, and their perspective gets reinforced. But then, when they encounter someone who thinks differently, it no longer feels like a simple disagreement. Instead, it's seen as an attack on their identity itself, and so, of course, they respond with vitriol. People start defending...
Yep. It's a human nature thing. When someone has a differing opinion to you, a lot of the time the first thing we want to do is like attack. It's very much like ingrained into human nature. This thing is different for what I believe. It needs to be eradicated. It needs to leave. It's an inherent thing in like human nature. We don't like things that are different than us. For some reason, I don't know what it is, but for some reason it's kind of like built into the way we think about things, especially when it comes to like topics like this.
Spending multi-billion-dollar corporations like they're a childhood friend. One interesting aspect is how often they have a gigantic blind spot. When they see the same behavior in others who like a different game, they can see how ridiculous it is, but instead of re-evaluating their own perspective, they double down, and whenever the two communities are placed in opposition, anger and controversy erupts. Why is this content everywhere? Why do creators embrace it? What are the consequences? And why do I have to deal with the fallout? A key part in this is
there's a lot of things to cover when it comes. I think this is a very like complicated and complex issue that has a lot of different factors that contribute to it. So I'm excited to see how this gets broken down.
Is the role of content creators, and for many it begins with the subtle influence of the algorithm and other similar incentives. Platforms like YouTube reward divisiveness, controversial titles and thumbnails get more clicks, toxic rhetoric gets more comments, hot takes get widely shared and drive engagement.
Also the same thing with places like Twitter. usually the more outrageous the opinion, the more engagement it gets. The more engagement it gets, the more it gets pushed. It's not like YouTube and Twitter wants outrage content to be popular. It's not like they want people to be hateful. It just seems to be that that's what people rally behind more. People rally behind hate and wanting to point at other things and look at scapegoats. And that's just the way humanity fucking is. And so that's what gets more engagements inherently, right? We all fucking know it. It happens in every single media for everything.
An easy way to stand out amongst a sea of voices clamoring for attention is to make a scene. The algorithm sees the whirlwind of activity this creates as a positive and rewards it with ever more exposure. In contrast, a thoughtful, balanced analysis with a less bombastic title will often fade into obscurity, even if it's far more well-researched and well-presented than your
100%. Being more balanced, being more nuanced in your take and opinion, it doesn't matter. If you're not making... People just want you to have strong opinions. Again, people want to feel something. If you don't have strong opinions that sends a strong message that people can rally behind, then don't bother, apparently. Because the algorithm won't want it. People want you to be strong.
Average slot 2 content. This leaves creators who see this as more than just a hobby with a tough decision to make. Take the road which they know has a higher chance of leading to success, even if it's not the kind of content they really care for, or gamble their entire career on the hope they'll find a way to build an audience without resorting to those tactics. And intentionally or not, creators often lean into it at least a little to drive engagement. When something gets a lot more views, there's a natural pressure to keep producing similar content. Exaggerated emotions and hyperbolic statements keep a certain type of audience coming back, so you'll see
100%. She's spitting facts. Gonna be so real. She's spitting facts. When it comes to like YouTube making content in the YouTube studio, you can see your retention time. And you could see what % of your subscriber base are actually watching your videos. And if YouTube sees that actually your subscribers are watching your videos frequently for longer, it's gonna push those videos out more. It thinks you're doing a good job. So what people will do, right, is they will look at what content is getting them the most retention and keep doing more of that same stuff, right? They'll keep doing more of that same kind of thing. So that's kind of how a lot of creators who are at least like smart try and play like the algorithm. And can you really blame creators for doing that? Like, can you? I don't think you particularly can. At the end of the day, game's the game. That's the whole point. When you make content, you have to see what works, what radiates, what engages more of your audience and subscriber base, and YouTube rewards that. Like, if you have like 300,000 subs, and you're getting like 2% of those to like actually watch your content, YouTube's gonna think, man, you're not making stuff that people want to see anymore. Like, stuff like that matters, you know?
See creators screaming at the screen in excitement when reacting to a trailer, or crashing out in rage when a game does something they're not happy with. I'd be surprised if they actually react like that when not on camera, and if they do,
most people don't.
Get some help.
Most people definitely over-exaggerate 100%.
Spectacle full of posturing and point scoring, the actual games get pushed aside, and it's easy for everyone to lose perspective.
But I don't think it's a bad thing. I feel that content creators are here to put on a show. Content creators are here to like entertain and put on a show, and that's what will happen. You know, they know what the audience wants, and they play into that. And you know what, I think that's fine. I think everyone understands that that's kind of like the nature of the space. How do you guys feel? I feel that's really what happens. Like, it's a show. People putting on a show. You want to be entertained.
Perspective. And once you start yelling and hyperventilating about one thing, even just for the effect, if you don't do that the next time, then people will feel you're no longer quite as enthusiastic, and since that's what they're there for, they might just drift away. Many creators get stuck in a loop where they have to resort to hyperbole whenever talking about things they love or hate. And unfortunately, every creator who leans into this is setting up a feedback loop of reinforcing bias in their audience. Those kinds of reactions appeal the most to people who themselves are particularly passionate about that subject, whether that's love for one thing or hatred for another.
Can I say something crazy? This is kind of like the basis of like how you build a cult following, or like a cult. I'm being so dead ass. Like, you say things so strongly that kind of like radiates a lot of the people who mirror certain sentiments, reinforcing their bias. It's what I said earlier. It's confirmation bias. You are more likely to subscribe to someone else's thoughts when they're kind of mirroring what you want them to be. Then that person, that content creator, becomes like a conduit for like your thoughts. It's what happens. It's a form of confirmation bias, 100%. So that's what happens with every quote-unquote good content creator will kind of do that. They are there to reinforce an audience's bias, and they know that this is the content creator that's always going to make the take that I want to make and I want to have, and therefore any new take that they make, and if I haven't formed an opinion about whatever subject they're talking about, I'm more likely to believe them and go along with their view because I already trust and like this person.
So the more it happens, the more it builds and builds. And then once you have an audience who all feel a particular way about something, any deviation from that expected line might feel like a betrayal to them. The more passionate the fan base, the more intense the tribal expectations.
It comes with a downside. As soon as you say something against that community, they will ruin you. That's the downside. It's great if you can keep it up. Bad thing, as soon as you go against them, they will all come for you, man. We've seen it time and time again.
Become. That's a recipe for audience capture, erasure of nuance, and even create a burnout if they were playing it up even just a little. And I think the consequences of that point bear much greater emphasis. There are many different reasons people create content: to entertain, to connect with others, to help people play smarter, to share passion for the things they enjoy, to think critically and spark interesting conversations, or, of course, just to chase success. Tribalism inflames some of these motivations while suppressing others. Many find it entertaining, and it can create a sense of belonging and bring the creator that success. But building an audience around it reinforces those perverse incentives even further and leaves you with less scope to engage in more nuanced discussions. And as many creators discover, even if you go ahead and make that content anyway, some people in your comments will tell you in no uncertain terms that they don't appreciate you stepping out of the space you created for yourself. Instead, many find themselves in a
How dare you? How dare you play another game? How could you? How could you do such a thing? Every time I boot up fucking Hawkeye Star Rail, my whole chat is like, no! To be fair, everyone's like, tends to be, I think it's like joking, but people tend to be quite respectful. But you just know there are some people, if they launched up fucking Genshin Impact now, they'd be shit on like fucking crazy.
downward spiral with no way to get out. And unfortunately, whenever all of this is normalized, it spreads out into the rest of the space as well, and other creators who did not make those same choices have to deal with the consequences.
That's because you shit talk those games, but that's kind of the point that's being made, right? You generate a community based around maybe one kind of game and you shit talk the others or put them down. As soon as you go to play those other games, the community that you fostered hates those fucking games. That's literally the whole point. This community is already aligned to the fact that, yes, we don't like this thing, so now we're not going to enjoy you playing this thing. That's what happens.
Too. When people are used to creators who act this way, it's natural for them to assume that everyone else does as well. Even if you present your thoughts in a more calm and measured way, they will suspect you're being disingenuous and invent ulterior motives behind your words. I'm here.
So is content creators' fault? What do you mean by that? Content's creator fault for what? Can you elaborate what you really mean? I feel that it's the audience you make is your responsibility. If you build up an audience and community because you hate like another game and you're surprised that when you go play that game people hate you, yeah, that is your fault, right? Like, yeah, like are we being stupid? Like, yeah, like that's the community you built. Are we surprised? You know? I don't think we are. But isn't it the viewer's fault for engaging in the first place? Why would it be the viewer's fault? They came for a streamer or a content creator that put out a certain narrative and plays X games and say this game good, that game bad. I don't think it's the viewer's fault if they're like upset that suddenly what they thought was that their comfy place suddenly didn't turn into it. Like, I can understand why people would be like, oh, I feel betrayed. It's weird, but I understand. It's the content like, you can't be surprised if you build up your whole audience around one thing and then do something different and be like, why are these people kind of mad that I'm not doing this thing anymore? Like, that's the community you built. It's just the objective truth, right? That's just all it is. Not necessarily fault. Yeah, there's no like fault. It's not a fault. It's just what happens. It's just the natural course of things.
Because there are things I feel compelled to talk about. If that brings in an audience, then that's amazing. And I'll always appreciate anyone who takes the time to hear my thoughts. But I still talk about the same things, even if it didn't. But unfortunately, thanks to the state of things in general, there's no way to convince some people of that fact. A while back, I made a video about my experience returning to Wuthering Waves. Yes, this one again. I enjoyed the game at first, but ended up a little underwhelmed by the time we reached the end of version 1. Largely because the exploration didn't feel like exploring to me. I stopped playing for a while, and I didn't make a video like why I stopped playing WuWa, because at the end of the day, it was a very good game with a clear target audience, even if it wasn't for me. Then, when version 2 dropped, I tried it again and found that the changes to the exploration made it feel fantastic for my preferences. A perfect opportunity to make the kind of video I enjoy. One which explores the pros and cons of different approaches to game design.
I feel like with this video, I disagreed with like a couple of things, but overall, like, it's a very fair, fine video.
Huge improvements for people like me without making it any less fun for the people who had enjoyed the game before. That's an incredibly hard balance to strike, and it deserves far more recognition. I went out of my way to make it clear that even in version 1, for many people who wanted something different from the game, the choices WuWa made were objectively great. Overall, Kura did a good job, and they just took it to another level.
It was a decent video. Yeah, we liked it.
In Rinasita. I made 2 mistakes in that video. The first was assuming people would understand. The script I wrote was over twice as long at first, with much more detailed explanation of where my perspective came from. But since it all seemed obvious to me, I cut it down to the minimum. The second was living in my own little bubble, where people enjoy hearing perspectives which are different from their own. Instead, a certain group of people heard
that's such a is that like a shot? Is that like a shot? I came from a background where different perspectives is like welcomed on like a certain the gloves have come off. Ding 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 ding. Round 1. Oh my fucking god. Oh, this is funny.
heard even the mildest critique and interpreted it as a hate-filled rant from someone with a dark and biased agenda. To this day, many of them just assume that's where I'm coming from. I should have done—
I didn't think that at all. I didn't feel that at all. That is crazy. That is wild. And that's what happens.
A better job of getting my point.
That's what happens, especially when the most hardcore of hardcore WuWa players get involved. Yeah, that's what happens.
Across, and I'm thankful to the many people who had frank discussions on that video, which gave me the chance to explain myself more clearly. It's just a shame that some people are so tribalistic that they can't even bring themselves to hear a different point of view. The main change this has led to in my videos is that I'm more comfortable letting them be whatever length gives me the room to get my point across, even if it's far longer.
Actually, I love that. I love that because Sorostos usually makes really well thought out videos anyway. And the fact they're longer, honestly, I feel is just a W. I find it a shame that they felt they had to shorten them in the first place. I would listen to whatever length of video they put out, I would listen to be honest.
Than the 10 to 15 minutes I had aimed for previously. I still try to condense them down to be respectful of people's time, but on balance, it's better to be a little more relaxed. It's still sad that people are so insecure in their own thoughts that when someone disagrees with them, they feel the need to attack, but at least I made some fun merch out of my favorite of the comments. As that example emphasizes, people get used to all of this pretty quickly, begin to think in terms of us versus them, and start to aggressively apply that to creators too. When people see the world through this lens of tribalism, they're forever trying to fit people into those neat and tidy categories. Any critique of something they like, especially if they didn't experience the downsides for themselves, will instantly see you written off as a hater, a grifter, or even an outright racist if you happen to feel disappointed with something.
Oh my god, okay, I think a racist is going kind of far. I don't think anyone's calling someone a racist over like gacha stuff, but I feel like, yeah, sometimes I feel if I didn't have a reputation of kind of being like a Kura bot, and basically almost exclusively making WuWa content, I feel like if I did make criticisms, they would be, well, if I made the criticism videos that I have done, like my 2.3 like anniversary video, if I wasn't kind of kindly looked at from the WuWa community, I feel like that would have been shit on. I do. I feel like I have the buff of, I feel like I have a few buffs sometimes where it's like, I'm someone who's made a lot of WuWa content, so people are maybe kind of less likely to be immediately hateful. And like, due to like who my friends are, maybe I'm also less likely to be attacked for WuWa takes necessarily, like out the gate. I feel like, but I feel like a lot of people, they do definitely get, I think it does happen. But I feel the most extreme case is like on Twitter. I think Twitter is really the place where like having like alternative takes, you just get shit on. But I also think that's just a consequence of Twitter being Twitter. I do. Techie be called racist, rapist, woman hater, transphobic, and many more before. Yeah, but I mean like in reference to like just enjoying gacha. Like no one's ever said you're racist because like you like Rover. Like no one's said that, right?
Even vaguely associated with non-Western cultures. Any praise for something they dislike, and you're at best misguided.
Oh, I guess like you could say like Asian culture stuff that that comes up in a lot of gachas. Yeah, I could see why that would come up too then.
More likely, a disingenuous shill who is only in it for the views. And of course, if you express concern over things like power creep, the direction of the endgame, the predatory practices, and so on, then you just suck at the game and you're salty that you can't get all the rewards. From just a single video, people extrapolate an entire worldview, an idea of who you are as a person, and nothing will convince them that they might have been mistaken. And the moment they have that in mind, either from some past encounter or just because their echo chamber said so, they'll remain forever convinced that they are right. Instead of engaging with a discussion like most people would and saying things like, I disagree with your take because, they come in with heated arguments against the thing they think you said, even if they haven't watched the video at all. And
yep! The amount of people who watched my like 2.5 thing and just saw like a title and thumbnail and didn't actually watch the video is insane. And I could tell who those people are because they just clearly didn't watch a video. Like they just don't. Like you just know they don't. Most people see like 30 seconds and be like, right, time to make my comment now. It's crazy and it happens all the time. And people, again, people just want to hate. It is. People don't want you to be reasonable. Being reasonable and having a balanced take is actually a negative in the space. I mentioned this earlier, but for the sake of this video, yeah, being reasonable doesn't help you. You have to make a strong opinion, okay? Because if you're balanced and nuanced, both sides will equally hate you. And it doesn't really get anywhere, and it doesn't get pushed. But having a strong opinion with a strong direction and a strong message and being a bit hyperbolic gets people interested. People say facts don't care about your feelings, right? But people really care about feelings. People want to feel something and feeling invigorated, like, yes, I could rally behind this take. This is wrong. Like outrage, there's a reason why outrage and feeling hateful towards something is more widespread than people just enjoying something. Hey, guess what? Right, if someone cooks you go to a fucking takeout or a restaurant, whatever, and someone cooks you a meal, and the meal's fucking good, as you expect, you're not really gonna say anything, are you? You're like, okay, great meal, had a really good time. Unless the service was exceptional, or something outstanding happened, you're probably not inclined to maybe leave a review because you expect it to be treated right. However, if someone serves you fucking shit with hairs in it and it's terrible or cold or whatever, you're gonna have an opinion. You're gonna have an opinion. This is not what I expected. This is not what I wanted. I'm gonna leave like a 1-star review. Like people like rally behind hateful things that they don't expect. They want the norm. They want a status quo. They want things to be always good all the time. And when they are, they're quiet. When they are, they're quiet, or they'll compare things to other things, right? But otherwise, it's outrage just kind of like breeds like outrage, you know? It just kind of is what it is. People will happily talk about things that bother them, but won't always talk about things that they really, really enjoy because they expect to always be enjoying things. The normal is that you should be cool or okay. So that's kind of why this happens.
Often do not even have the slightest clue what you actually talked about. One of the most important skills in life is the ability to listen and to learn. Nobody knows everything. Nobody is right 100% of the time. And
my pet peeve is when people always say, guys, I'm always right. You know I'm always right. I hate that so much because I don't believe that they believe that. I don't. I feel like people say that to kind of reinforce their community that you could always trust me. Right? I feel that that's what, to me, that's what I refuse to believe anyone really genuinely believes that. Like, I'm always right and I'm always going to be correct. And my take is always going to be the correct take. In my head, I feel like some creators say that as like a sort of like shield. It's kind of telling a community, you guys are protected. I am always going to be right. It's okay. You like adopting kind of like whatever I'm saying, it's fine. It is the correct take to have. Don't worry, guys. I'm never wrong. The take that I have is the right one, and you can have it too. And I feel like it's kind of like it sets up this like shell, and people are more inclined to like believe you and respect you and be like, yeah, this guy has our back. This guy has our back, and in turn, you respect them, give them more attention, and they confirm your bias more as like a viewer. It's what happens. Hey, it just is what it is. My take. Going into a bit of psychology, I guess.
There is no such thing as objective fact when you're talking about opinions on a video game. Anyone who claims to that is being disingenuous or is locked into their own personal echo chamber. For anyone who does this, just know you're missing out. Those of us who can handle differences of opinion have much richer and more nuanced experience with the games we play.
I'm definitely fucking stubborn. Holding my hand up, I'm a stubborn fucking bitch. Very, very stubborn. But there are a couple of people who are able to get me to listen, to reason, and understand. And I feel if I could actually be shown like a wrong, I'm very happy with like changing my mind on things. I've done that like a number of times. If someone could genuinely like break things down for me and kind of be like, here's why, I'd be like, okay, you know what, fine. I've always been okay with changing my mind. I'm just not likely to change my mind if I'm currently pissed off in the moment. Like if I'm already angry about something in the moment, don't expect me to change my mind. But later on, it's fine. Okay. But it's not about changing opinion, but when it comes to discussions and differencing of opinion, no problem with that. I will gladly have a conversation where two people disagree with it being like cordial. Absolutely. There's a lot of people who can't though. A lot of people who can't do that.
Because we get to hear how other people felt about it too. And it does make you wonder what the end game of these people is. Do they want...
If they're an egotistical clown, sure, but a good content creator always knows then they themselves can mess up, allowing others to hold them accountable when they need to be accountable. It's a good practice, helps others creators grow. You see, I'd agree with you inherently, right? That it's good for you, being accountable, it makes you grow, and good practice. But to a lot of people, not ever having a wrong take means you have a fault. And suddenly, if you've built up this community of people who think that you will always have the right take, I can always trust this creator to have my back and have the right take, as soon as they say things that might be wrong and appear quote unquote like weak to their community, you have a bunch of people who might mistrust you or have should I be supporting this like as strongly? Right? Do I be supporting this as strongly now that they were wrong about something? It's very difficult. So people who do that kind of tactic, I think, walk a very fine line. If they do actually ever genuinely mess up, it could be pretty bad for them.
The new people to the game to feel afraid of sharing their perspective since they know they might just get attacked for disagreeing? Do they want videos filled with more caveats than content? Do they want any strong opinions to just be left unsaid? Do they want creators to lie to them and hide their true perspective out of fear?
Yeah. If it's about a game that they really like, they would much rather you glaze the game that they enjoy than criticize it, because they're so inclined to want to love the thing they love so much that criticizing it feels like a criticism on them, and that's sad. It's upsetting. It's fucking upsetting, right? But it kind of is what it is. But not everyone. That's not everyone. I know a lot of people in the community are very open to like hearing feedback and criticism and discussion, but it's difficult to some.
Of getting hate? Or do they really want a world where the moment someone isn't completely ecstatic with a game, they have to stop talking about it at all? Because I have news for them. No game is perfect. If that's the bar we have to pass, then nobody would ever talk about anything. Personally, I look at content creators who analyze films, TV, books, and so on, and wish more of the gaming sphere would follow that blueprint. Over there, people analyze what makes films tick, what makes the best successful, what flaws made others fail to reach their full potential. It's fascinating, and every time I'm left with a deeper appreciation for the...
It's such a good thing. Knowing what works and then what doesn't work, I think it's fun, and discussing why something works is great. I love having those kinds of conversations.
Art, even if I disagreed with a creator's perspective. Those are the videos I try to create, and one of my favorite things is seeing comments which start with "thanks for sharing your perspective," even though I completely disagree. Thankfully, it seems like only a minority, even in the gaming sphere, are die-hard tribes people. So many people are open, engaged, and have such interesting things to say.
I feel like gacha seems a lot more tribalistic than other games because inherently of what it is. It's the games that make you log in every day. It's because part of your everyday life to a lot of people, and you end up relating to characters, and you end up investing a lot of your life into it. For a lot of people, it becomes a genuine part of their life. Some people look at gachas more that they fucking speak to their family, you know what I mean? So like, yeah, it's gonna be, I'm not surprised when people get more involved. Same reason why like anime communities are so intense. It's a big part of their lives. A lot of people like watch these shows and really involve themselves with it every single day,
which bring new understanding,
right? Every single day. So I think that's why it happens with gachas, but it happens in any fucking fandom. Anything. It's live service thing, to be honest. Live service thing, but I do think there's something to be said about fandom and standom and obsessing like over characters. I think that's what WuWa has, right? Like you kind of have like a relational fixation to characters, just like what a lot of anime does with its stands, right? I think it's not just a live service thing. It's the how does the game make you feel? There's a lot of different ways. It's multifaceted. There's not just one point. There's a lot of reasons why people get hyper invested into them.
To the conversation. The tribes people often feel louder, but in my comments at least, the ones who want to explore ideas together are much more prevalent. And one aspect of this tribalism which I'm actually in two minds about is the way people reject creators who wish to return to games they used to love. The reason I'm in two minds about this is that there are, undeniably, creators who deliberately stoke the flames in the hopes of getting views, and these creators can genuinely make a community fall apart. When they move on to a different game, it can feel like a relief, because when the toxicity is gone, those who stick around have far more space to have nuanced discussions. But at the same time, many others get lumped in with this as well. Even creators who have always been constructive get this treatment, even if they barely shared why they moved on to something else in the first place. If they were to return, it would be a net positive to the space, yet people treat them just the same. And there are those in the middle too, people who...
I kind of feel that's a bit like Braxophone, right? Like the guy's kind of been separating himself a bit more from Honkai Star Rail. He did nothing but be such a positive person for that game. Like such a positive person. And we saw over the weekend, he got absolutely shit on. People are ripping Braxophone apart over the weekend, saying he's like this like horrible person, like calling him all sorts of stuff. And I was like, this is the guy that's like helped the Honkai Star community like so much. Now he's leaving to do other stuff too because he can't like, he doesn't want to deal with all this shit either. And now he's getting shit for it? Like him? Yeah, like that's really, I feel like this fits into that perfectly. Like it's so unfair. Brax is genuinely like one of the nicest people like I've genuinely ever spoken to. Genuinely, he's always been so like incredibly kind to me and so willing to have conversations like whenever. And like straight up, he's genuinely been so kind and one of the kindest people. Like I don't know why someone or anyone would come to like an opinion that he's like a horrible person. Genuinely blew my mind. That was one of the most undeserved call-outs I've ever fucking seen.
Criticize out of genuine love for the game and maybe lean into the hyperbole because that's what drives the algorithm. It's kind of sad, but it feels like that might be the price you agree to pay when you make those kinds of choices. I'm all for giving people second chances, but I understand those who feel their bridges have been burned. I guess it just depends how far they took it and how honest they were along the way. The people in my comments who fall the most into tribalism regularly devolve into pure comedy, to the point where I could half believe that they were legitimately joking. For example, ever since that video about Renacita, which I mentioned earlier, there have been a handful of people who like to comment on every WuWa video I make and to assume I'm making some unfounded criticism, even when it's the polar opposite of what my video actually says.
Yeah, that happens, bro. I get people that always comment on my videos, and you don't realize that you can like click on someone's comment and see all the other times that they've left a comment on your video. And I could see that these people literally just leave a comment to hate. I can just see that it's leaving comments to fucking hate. I'm like, okay, yeah, you clearly care. Yeah, you totally care. You're not doing this just because you just want to be annoying. Like, it's so obvious to see. People think that we can't see that. We know exactly who keeps coming back in our comments. I read all my comments, by the way. Like, I read every single one, and I know a lot of other creators do. And we recognize who, like, our commenters are. If you read them regularly, like, you recognize who they are. And you know the annoying ones that keep fucking popping up until they get too annoying and you can click the great button that's like hide from channel and remove message. That's my favorite button. I love that one. Anytime someone goes too far, I get like adrenaline, like removing them from my comment section. It makes me feel so fucking good, bro. Like, oh, you think you're being a smart ass? Hide from channel. Then they can comment and they think they're doing something and they'll never know that no one will ever fucking see it. They'll never know. They'll be like talking and shouting into the void and no one will ever fucking see them. It's great. It's so good.
The comments which made me want to finally make this video were from a week or two ago when I made a video speculating about Frolova. She's a prominent antagonist who had been in the story from the beginning, who was about to become playable. For a long time, I had wanted to talk about the disappointing pattern across gachas in general, where antagonists have their misdeeds wiped away, and this was the perfect opportunity. The video explores where people's concerns came from, why antagonists and villains are so important to stories, why I disagree with the idea that evil doesn't sell, and then covers our past encounters with Frolova and the 3 paths they could have taken with her. Keep her as a pure villain, add context but keep her towards the darker end of moral grey, or turn her into an WuWa doppelganger. Obviously, I wanted the first or second, and I had faith that Kuro would deliver. As I said in the video, I felt the middle option was most likely. And as I'll cover in more detail in my next video, they did a fantastic job with her story, and she's a shining example of what I want from an antagonist in any game. My original
Base W. I think a lot of people agree. I think a lot of people feel that Frolova was written well, you know, and provides a lot of discussion. And the fact there was a lot of discussion around the 2.5 story and Frolova's character means that Kuro did a good job. That's how I feel.
original video was correct on every point. And yet, the moment they played Frolova's story, these commenters piled into my video and said my take had aged like milk. Apparently, I wonder how they'll handle this and hope they'll go with option B is a bad take, especially when they do indeed go with option B. It's wild to me that people will so confidently leave a public comment on something they so clearly know nothing about. While I enjoy the entertainment that comes from having these bizarre takes in my comments, I can't help but feel sad for these people who probably miss out on so many interesting discussions because of their myopia. And in the interests of balance, it's important to note that while my two examples so far have focused on Wuthering waves, it's just as prevalent in other communities as well. My takes on Natlan, for example. Again, I always take pains to emphasize that my perspective is just that, one person's view on the experience and far from objective truth. Many people had a different experience, and I've had many enlightening discussions with them which helped me appreciate the story in ways which the original experience sadly didn't capture for me. That's the whole point of my videos. To acknowledge that everyone feels differently about each part of the game, to spark discussion, and through exploring what made me feel the way I did, to get to learn why other people had a different take. But, of course, many people hate it when you give even the mildest of critiques, and in their mind it becomes, I hate this is stupid, anyone who likes it is stupid, and it should not exist. Guess that might just be how they approach things that they don't like. I just posted a video where
hey. It happens, right? You can't please everyone. As soon as you stand against something, you're gonna stand against other people too. Is what it is.
Tried to explore why I personally had such a different reaction to the upcoming Not Cry character designs compared to the ones from Natlan. I leaned on my background in design and focused on the part that matters at this point, given how little we know about Not Cry. The visuals, the aesthetics, the vibes, all highly subjective, which I made clear from start to finish, and many people said they had the same experience. Other commenters pointed to the lore as the justification for the way Hoyo handled Natlan, but frankly, lore explains why things might be the way they are, but that doesn't change the experience of how people felt towards the designs at first. One comes before the other, and the more disjointed the first impressions are, the more the lore and story would have to fix in order for things to feel coherent by the end.
This is also like very valid. Design has a lot of different factors that get attributed to it, like she's saying, the lore, the environment, the story that they get told in as well, their own personalities, how that influences their design as well. And it's important that it all matches up. Like it all should make sense. Everything should make sense. And I think Natlan was just kind of like confusing for a lot of people. Like a lot of it didn't didn't end up making sense or being very cohesive for people.
For many of us, it simply did not bridge that gap, and even that's beside the point. The video was not an attempt to gather evidence and present an argument. It was not about right or wrong at all. It was an observation that lots of people feel a similar way about these things, and an exploration of where those feelings come from. But while those commenters got their hackles raised and ended up missing the point I was trying to make, their perspective on the game itself is perfectly valid, and at least they engaged in the discussion. Meanwhile, the ones who really missed the boat were those who interpret criticism of anything related to Natlan as outright racism. Out of over 1,000 comments,
Ooh. You're racist if you didn't like Natlan design. Oh my god. White woman loves Western aesthetics in her Asian gacha game. Shocking. Just say you only like Eurocentric stuff. Oh my god. Your takes are so bad faith against Natlan. Anytime someone says like, oh my god, at the end of a sentence like that, I assume they're like 12. Am I crazy? I genuinely assume they're like a teen or a child. Not cry feels like Genshin because you're racist, actually. Because people are racist, end of story. There was absolutely nothing wrong with the Natlan other than Malvika's hideous design. Oh my god. It's like missing the fucking point 101. This is insane. Yeah, W for not censoring their names. Yeah, that she's actually doxing them and she could be sued for that. I remember when I got like sent like lawyer threats by someone in the Love and Deep Space community because I pulled up like Reddit comments and I kept their usernames in while I was calling them out, and they didn't like what I said and they were like, I'm gonna get my lawyers on you, you dox me. You doxed me because you included my username, so now you're gonna hear from my lawyers and you're gonna get sued. Bro, this happened for like 2 whole days. It was insane. And then I got banned on Twitch, conveniently. I got like mass reported by them. Insane. Bro, like a genuine deadass, these people are fucking crazy.
I saw one person who was an actual bigot, and they're not welcome here. Accusing people of racism because they felt a video game's aesthetics were incohesive is utterly unhinged. People on both sides of that whole Natlan debate fall prey to this same tribalism. I've seen some people who agreed with my perspective but spent their time bashing those who like Natlan's designs. That's just as disappointing as the behavior of those who bash people for disliking them. If you find yourself on the verge of giving into that temptation, it's worth taking a step back and maybe think about it for an hour or two before you go ahead and reply. Tribalism kills nuanced discussion, especially when it comes to critiques of games which people care about so much. There's always a reason behind your like or dislike of something, and figuring them out can be fascinating, far more interesting than just saying this is peak or this is ass and leaving it at that. For those who agree, gaining greater insight.
Do you know what's crazy? I feel like this is how do I put this? I feel like a lot of the times, like when it comes to content creators and covering things, when people make takes that are like bad, I'm gonna be honest, I feel like content creators don't particularly like care that much about the takes that are like being disagreeable. I don't. I think the community cares more than the content creators when it comes to stuff. I feel like the content creators kind of see it as like sometimes a bit of fun. They see it as a bit of fun and an opportunity, and it's the communities that take it a bit more seriously and it means something more to them. And some part of me of that kind of feels like sad a little bit. Like knowing that information kind of makes me feel sad that like content creators know that this could be like a fun farm, like free farm, fun farm, but the people that you're like farming it to really take it seriously. And we can kind of tell by the comments that they leave. Because we know it happens, right? We can tell by those kind of comments, and it's like, damn, like sometimes thinking about that makes me feel kind of like, ooh, what's going on?
Can be validating, and it can actually reduce resentment and bring back appreciation for the other parts of the game they liked, or even provide enough emotional distance that they can start seeing the positives of the parts which didn't work for them. For those who don't agree, it can help them understand the other perspective on that point, and maybe spark discussion which lets them share their love for it in a way which might help others see the positives at last. While the echo chambers are loud, they really are a tiny minority of the community at large. In case anyone skipped to the end, here's your too long didn't watch, woman. Until next time.
Too long didn't watch, woman. Bro, I really like this video. I think this is a great video. I think this video came out at the perfect fucking time. I do. I think this was great. I would love, do you know what? I would genuinely love to have a conversation with Saurusness. If I ever got the opportunity, I would love to talk to her about like whatever, because like I think that she always brings great points and great perspectives. I think that would be so fun. I love that. So I love this video. Invite her. She's very silent. Invite her. I would love to. I would genuinely love to. I would love to invite her. Yeah, big W. That would be nice. Hell yeah. Reach out. You know, I'll try. If this ever gets to her, I will try. I'll reach out too. I appreciate y'all. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you subscribe to Saurusness as well. W video. I appreciate y'all. Mega style. I'm live every single day on Twitch and on Kick. Follow me everywhere. Subscribe to get 2 witches added to your PP size. And I'll see you on the next one. Peace.
Twitch.tv/Captain Cabinetz, Captain Cabinetz.